Hey ladies, this is your girl, Camille Sheppard-Parrish, the Healthy Love Coach, and I wanted to let you know I'm the author of Successful Women Date Differently, and I'm the founder of Get Mr. Right University. And today I wanted to talk to you about a topic that's very near and dear to my heart. You know, every week I get phone calls and emails from women all around the world asking me the same question. So I wanted to come on today and address it for you. That question is, how can I be resilient when rejected by a man? In other words, how do I bounce back from rejection? So I wanted to talk about it today. So are you a woman who fears being rejected or lonely for the rest of your life? Well, if you've been single or lonely for quite a while, your answer may be yes. And for some of us, just the thought of hearing the word no and being rejected by a man can cause us a lot of anxiety. As a matter of fact, it can prevent us from opening up our hearts to love, to the dating process, and to getting to know a new man all over again. And this is what ultimately can cause us to have regret and to be lonely for real, unnecessarily for long periods of time and perhaps even forever. So I wanted to let you know that one of the keys to being resilient is not the fact of whether or not you were rejected, but it lies in the conversation that's in your head about the rejection. So it's how you handle it, right? And the action that you take after you're rejected. How do you respond to the rejection? So this is especially the case when it comes to being rejected by a man. So, and this is because rejection is not easy. And believe it or not, even for me, there were men in my life, in my past, that I wanted to be with. There were men that I thought would be my Prince Charming or my Mr. Right that I would ride off and live happily ever after with, but it didn't happen. It was because they were not into me. And the truth of the matter, ladies, is that I was just not the woman that they could see themselves spending the rest of their life with, building their future, having children, having a family with. And I had to accept that. I had a choice, though. I had a choice to stay stuck, to cry, to internalize it, to criticize myself, to blame myself, to find fault with myself, and to continue to do that every day. Or I can make the decision to realize that he was just not the right man for me. Or perhaps it wasn't the right time for both of us, right? So the difference between women who can deal with rejection and the women who are able to move on and those who get stuck and they continue to cry and have heartbreak for long periods of time, sometimes even years, I find women dealing with this heartbreak and afraid to move on. The difference has to do with how she handles it. Yes, ladies, it has to do with her perception. So even for me, I had a choice whether or not I was going to continue to play my mental tape over and over and over again and continue to replay the situation and to break up and continue to think about what I could have done to keep him or to figure out how can I get him back. Or I had a choice to change my perception, change my point of view, change how I looked at the entire situation. And once I did that, I was able to hit the F7 delete key for my mental tape. I was able to then 86 it and throw it away. Yes, ladies, I was able to delete that wrong mindset and I was able to replace it with a new way of thinking about that situation. So I want to share with you today 5 ways that you can change your perspective when you're dealing with rejection with a man so that you can push forward and really get to your Mr. Right, okay? The love that you truly deserve without giving up and truly being broken and hurt forever. So number 1, think about rejection this way. Rejection can be a protection for you, right? Not all rejection is bad. Sometimes when we hear no from a man, sometimes that's the best thing that could have happened to us. But we don't often look at it that way, right? Who knows? We don't know what could have came out of that relationship. Sometimes have you seen a man in a relationship and you see him with a woman and you say, oh my gosh, I'm so happy I didn't marry him. Right? So sometimes rejection is God's way of telling you that this relationship is not for you. right? Perhaps you have work to do. Maybe you're not ready for a relationship, or maybe he has some work that he needs to do and he's not ready for a relationship with you. So look at rejection as your protection. Number two, I want you to stop taking his rejection of you personally, right? Sometimes he's not rejecting you. Sometimes he's rejecting the idea of a relationship. Sometimes he's just afraid of his own feelings. Sometimes he may not be ready. It could be financially, it could be physically. Who knows what's going on in his life, right? So rejection doesn't always have to do with you. A lot of times the rejection, when it comes to relationship, it has to do with a man. Perhaps you're super successful. You're very educated. Maybe you have everything together. You have your credit score high. You have your money in the bank. You have a nice fancy car. Maybe he's not at that point. Maybe he has some work to do on himself. So don't take it personal. And in case you're thinking, well, I'm willing to share, a masculine man is not interested in what you can share with him to bring him to the next level. He needs to have that hustle and that struggle to make it so he can feel proud of himself and not that you did it for him. Okay, so when you come to understand that everything is not just about you, but it could be about someone else, that can help you get through that process. It's not always about whether or not you're thin enough, smart enough, or if you're not blonde enough, or if you're, need to dumb it down. It's not always about you. Sometimes it's about him. So realize that his decision probably didn't have anything to do with you, anything to do with your beauty, your outward appearance, or your worthiness, right? and you're not paying for some sin that you committed, so you're not being punished. It just simply has to do with him, and it's his decision. Okay, number three, ladies. You deserve to be in a relationship with a man that wants to be with you, right? So don't be in a relationship where a man wants you to chase him. If you have to chase love, that isn't love, ladies. You shouldn't want to be with a man that you have to chase and prove your worth to. The man that's meant for you will recognize your worth. He will appreciate your value. He will love your silliness, your quirkiness, your laugh, and the way you do things. He will love your authenticity. So ladies, if you have to prove and chase a man, he's probably not your man. Patiently wait to meet a man who really values you for who you are. Wait to meet a man who will cherish you and appreciate your worth. And this starts with you appreciating your own worth. You have to understand that you deserve it to be cherished and loved. Not just understand that, ladies, you have to truly believe it. So if you can do this, you won't take rejection so personally. You will actually allow yourself to learn from the rejection. So number four is, just because one man rejected you, it doesn't mean that all men will reject you. Right? You're Mr. Right. The man that's designed, created for you, definitely won't reject you. Just the wrong type of men will. So relationships has a lot to do with timing. It has a lot to do with whether or not you're aligned with each other, if you have the same goals and views and, objectives for the future. Relationships also have a lot to do with whether or not there's chemistry, whether there's physical attraction, whether there's intellectual attraction, whether this guy can see you being with him in the future, right? So if he does by some chance explains why he's not choosing you, I want you to pay attention to what he's saying. Men don't always give you closure, but some men do. And if you're with a man that gives you closure, and he may give you a hint, for example, he may tell you that, I respect you. That means that you probably have a lot of masculine energy. He might say, you're a good buddy. I love hanging out with you. You're cool. That might mean you have a lot of masculine energy. He might even tell you, I respect you. Again, means that you have a lot of masculine energy. So take that as a lesson. Pay attention to the advice and the information, because number five is pay attention to the lesson and learn from it. And be willing to get into action to do what you need to do to change your circumstances. Now, it doesn't mean that that man will accept you after you change. but it means that you will be positioning yourself, getting yourself ready to meet the guy that you want, your Mr. Right. So if he does explain, as I mentioned, that why he's not choosing you, pay attention and take the time to do the inner work. Understand what you need to do to make the changes. If you have too much masculine energy, learn what it takes to get into your femininity. And a lot of times I have to warn you, ladies, you may have to get into partnership with a coach. It may not be me, but make sure you align with the right coach who can work with you to help you create your own personal love breakthrough. So I want you to think about your rejections. And I want you to journal about it. I want you to think about the last man that rejected you. If he gave you some information as to why he rejected you, great. Journal about it and think about the situation and determine what you need to do so that you'll be positioned for your next opportunity, right? Because you never know, your next opportunity may be your Mr. Right. But the key to it all is don't allow rejection to leave you feeling totally dejected, totally diminished. No, stand on top of that no, because you never know. The next man you meet might be your yes. So I'm Camille Sheppard-Parrish. It's been a pleasure. I'm the founder of Get Mr. Right University. Visit me on CamilleSheppard.com for more information on how to help you attract the love that you deserve. Bye.